Allahu, 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 Allah, Allahu, 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 Allah.
Rahman Rahim. Now the last point we spoke about was the Islam of Al-Abbas ibn Abdul Muttalib radiallahu anhu, the uncle of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his only remaining uncle. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was very happy when Al-Abbas became a Muslim. He was leaving to do hijrah to Medina with his family, and they met the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the Muslims right outside of Makkah. So he became the last person to do hijrah. He's the last person to do hijrah, because as we'll see soon, the Prophet ﷺ is going to say, La hijrata ba'd al-fath. As for after the conquest of Makkah, there's no more hijrah from Makkah. Alright? Al-Abbas radiallahu anhu, he became a Muslim. And his wife, al-Fadl, and his children. Now, right after this, the Quraysh, they sensed something. So they sent out Abu Sufyan, their leader, to go and look at what is happening. So Abu Sufyan, he went out together with Hakim bin Hizam and others, Budayl bin Warqa and other people. Right when they got out of Makkah, obviously, they came to Marr Dhahran, which the Muslims were camping, and they saw this great scene of all these fires, this huge camp, where Abu Sufyan, he said, I have never seen something like this in my life. Hakim bin Hizam, one of them, said, this is wallahi Khuza'a. Remember Banu Bakr, they killed members of Khuza'a. So they said, this is Khuza'a, they came to take revenge from us. And Abu Sufyan, he said, no. Khuza'a, very few. They cannot have a camp this big. So that is when he decided to go farther and see what is happening. Who are these people? When he was doing this, Al-Abbas was outside the camp, and he heard them talking. And Al-Abbas was riding on the Prophet's donkey. So when he heard them talking, he recognized this is Abu Sufyan. So he called out to him, Ya Abu al-Fadl. And Abu Sufyan, he said, he called them to him, Ya Abu Sufyan. And Abu Sufyan says, this is Al-Abbas. Said to him, Ya Abu al-Fadl, what are you doing here? And he said, هذا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم في الناس وصباح قريش والله. This is the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم with his army. This is a warning of what is going to happen tomorrow to Quraysh. He said, Abu Sufyan, فَمَا الْحِيلَةِ, then what do we do? What is there to do? Al-Abbas said to him, Wallahi, if he finds you, he's going to cut off your neck, cut off your head. So I think you should come with me on the donkey of the Prophet ﷺ, and you should go to him and seek protection. So Abu Sufyan, he agreed, and they climbed on the donkey of the Prophet ﷺ, he and Al-Abbas. It's at night. So he was taking him to the Prophet ﷺ. And every time they passed by a group of Muslims sitting by the fire, they would say, who's this? And then they'll see the donkey of the Prophet ﷺ. They say, oh, okay, it's the donkey of the Prophet ﷺ and his uncle, Al-Abbas. They didn't recognize the person who was behind. Until they passed by Umar. And Umar, he said, who's this? He said, oh, Ammu Rasulullah ﷺ, the uncle of the Prophet ﷺ. Who's with you? When he looked at him, he saw Abu Sufyan. He said, Ya Abu Sufyan, adu Allah. Allah brought you to me without me doing nothing today. This is the day I cut off your head. So when he was saying that, Al-Abbas, he rushed the donkey all the way to the Prophet ﷺ while Umar was chasing them. When they reached the Prophet ﷺ, Al-Abbas said, Ya Rasulullah, qad ajartu, I have given him protection. But Umar is coming and he's about to kill the man. So when he entered, they started to argue, Al-Abbas and Umar. And Al-Abbas, he said to him, calm down, Umar. You know that if he was a person from your tribe, Banu Adi bin Ka'b, you wouldn't have acted like this. And Umar, he said, no, Allah, it's not that. You know that you becoming Muslim was more beloved to me, meaning Al-Abbas, than my own father becoming Muslim. Because they knew how much the Prophet ﷺ loved his uncle. So the Prophet ﷺ, anyway, said, go with him, Al-Abbas, and bring him tomorrow in the morning, meaning Abu Sufyan. When morning came, or before that, sorry, when they went to sleep, Al-Abbas said to Abu Sufyan, Wayhaka ya Abu Sufyan, isn't it time for you to become Muslim? Isn't it time for you to become Muslim? In the morning when they went to the Prophet ﷺ, the Prophet ﷺ said, woe to you, Abu Sufyan, isn't it time for you to believe that La ilaha illallah, there is no true God deserves to be worshipped except Allah? And he said, Bi abi anta wa ummi, may my mother and my father be ransomed for you. Ma ahlamaka wa akramaka wa awsalak. You are the most generous, the most gentle person, the most kind to his relatives. And I have known all this time that if there was actually another God besides Allah, they would have helped us. But I know there's only one true God. Now I believe that. All these idols, they don't help us. So the Prophet ﷺ said to him, then Wayhaka ya Abu Sufyan, woe to you again. Isn't it time for you to believe I'm the messenger of Allah? And he said again, may my mother and my father be ransomed for you. How gentle, how good you are to your relatives. But this point, I don't know about this point. I don't know about that. So Al-Abbas said to him, Wayhak ya Abu Sufyan, woe to you. Aslim, you have to become Muslim before your head is going to be cut off one day. And then Al-Abbas said to the Prophet ﷺ, Ya Rasulullah, Inna Abu Sufyan rajulun yuhibbu al-fakhr, faj'al lahu shay'an. Abu Sufyan is someone who loves position. Remember, he's the leader of Makkah. He's someone who loves position. Give him something. So the Prophet ﷺ said, Naam, go tell your people, whoever enters your house will be safe. And whoever goes to the Masjid al-Haram, Makkah, will be safe. And whoever closes his door will be safe. So, when time came, when morning now broke, the Prophet ﷺ, he prepared the army to enter Makkah. And he told his uncle Al-Abbas, take Abu Sufyan and go to the side of the mountain where there was a pathway or passage where everybody has to pass by there so that he can see the army of the Muslims. So Al-Abbas took him, and the Prophet ﷺ, he commanded the army, he said, everyone should carry the banner and every tribe, every group should go together. And you should show all your weapons. You should show all your weapons. So they started going out like that. And a group will pass by, and Abu Sufyan will be shocked. He'll say, who are these? Al-Abbas will say, this is Sulaim, the tribe of Sulaim. Abu Sufyan said, Mali wali Sulaim. How did I lose Sulaim? What do I have to do with Sulaim? And then another tribe will pass. He'll say, who are these? He said, this is Ghifar. He'll say the same thing. And then another tribe, Muzayna, Juhayna, Ashja, all of them. Until the bigger group came now, which all you could see was just dark black because of the body armor they are wearing. It's full metal body armor. And that is the main group of the Prophet ﷺ, the Muhajirun and the Ansar. And they had the best weapons you could find. When he saw that, Abu Sufyan started to shake. He said, who's this? What is this? And Al-Abbas said, this is the group of the Prophet ﷺ. This is the group of the Prophet ﷺ. And he said, okay, nobody can fight these people. There's no one who can fight these people. And he said, Wallahi Abu al-Fadl, by Allah, O Abu al-Fadl, لقد أصبح ملك ابن أخيك اليوم عظيما. The kingship of your nephew has become great. And Al-Abbas right away said, no, إنما هي النبوة. It is prophethood, it's not kingship. And Abu Sufyan said, yes, it is prophethood. The point of this was that the Prophet ﷺ wanted to show him the army they had, so that he goes back to Makkah and tells them, look, there's no point of fighting these people. We cannot fight them. Because the Prophet ﷺ did not want to fight. He did not want to fight. So, while they were passing by, the banner of the Muhajirun, the flag carrier was Az-Zubair ibn Awam, with their troops. And the carrier of the flag of the Ansar was Sa'd ibn Ubadah radiallahu anhu. When Sa'd ibn Ubadah passed by Abu Sufyan, he said, Abu Sufyan, this is the day we're going to smash and crush all of you. This is the day when the Kaaba is going to become halal. The day when the Quraysh are going to become humiliated. When he said that, Abu Sufyan said, Ya Abbas, this is a day of humiliation. But then he ran to the Prophet ﷺ, he said, Ya Rasulullah, you command people to be good to their relatives. Now you're going to kill all of us. And the Prophet ﷺ said, no, what are you talking about? He said, you didn't hear what Sa'd bin Ubadah he said? He said, what did he say? He said this and that and that. And the Prophet ﷺ, he said, this is very important. He said, كَذَبَ سَعْدٌ. كَذَبَ سَعْدٌ. Literally, Sa'd has lied. ولكن هذا يوم يعظم الله فيه الكعبة. This is the day when Allah will honor the Kaaba. وَيَوْمٌ تُكْسَ فِيهِ الْكَعْبَةِ. And the day when the Kaaba will be clothed in Islam. Now in Arabic, they use this term to say كَذَبَ fulan, so-and-so lied, not because he's a liar. The word كَذَبَ means he spoke what is not true. It doesn't mean malicious, harming, wrong kind of intentions, no. Anyone who says something wrong, they say كَذَب. Okay? So when someone says, oh, you're lying, doesn't really mean that you're a bad criminal supposed to be put in jail for the rest of your life kind of thing. And when the Prophet ﷺ, after this, he ordered the banner to be taken from Sa'd because of what he said. And it was given to his son, Qais ibn Sa'd. It was given to Qais ibn Sa'd, radiallahu anhum. This is the moment Abu Sufyan, he ran back to Makkah. When he got there, they asked him, what happened? He said, Ya ma'ashara Quraysh, O Quraysh, Muhammad has come to you with an army which you can never face. So whoever enters my house will be safe. Whoever goes to the Kaaba will be safe. And whoever closes his door and does not fight will be safe. When he entered his house and he was saying this, his wife, who is Hind bint Utbah, she got hold of his beard. I said, what is wrong with you? You're a coward. You should go out and fight this, that and that. And he said to her, Waylaki, woe to you. Ja'a bil haqq, the truth has come. Faskuti, so you need to shut up. Wadkhuli baytak, and enter your house and keep quiet and hide. And I swear by Allah, if you do not become Muslim, they are going to cut off your head. And he turned to the people outside, he said, woe to you, do not let this woman deceive you. Everyone should go to their home and close their doors. And close their doors. This is when the Prophet ﷺ now reached a place called Dhituwa. Dhituwa. Now, for today's geography of Makkah, most of these places are not there as they're supposed to be, or there's tunnels, there's hotels, there's houses. You can't recognize them. I'm sure there's people who know the actual history, they'll point them out. I met one of these people in Makkah. Right? I met a sheikh also in Uhud, and he pointed every single place. Every single place. In fact, he did his master's thesis on Uhud. Very old sheikh in Medina. Every place he pointed. But when they reached a place called the Tuwa, that is when the Prophet ﷺ, he prepared his army. And he made Khalid bin Walid in charge of the right wing. And Az-Zubair, not Az-Zubair, Az-Zubair bin Awam was in charge of the left wing of the army. And he carried the banner. And by the way, he also took away the flag of the Ansar from Qais, because his father Sa'ad came back and said, Ya Rasulullah, he's a young man. I fear he might make some mistakes when we enter Makkah. So the flag was only with Az-Zubair radiallahu anhum. And then the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he commanded Khalid bin Walid, who was on the right side of the army, or the right wing, and he had with him the tribes of Aslam, Sulaim, Ghifar, Muzayna, and Juhayna. And he told him to enter in a place, the lower part of Makkah, which is called Quday. That is the part which Khalid was going to enter. And Az-Zubair was in the left wing of the army, and he was carrying the banner of the Prophet ﷺ. And he commanded him to enter in the higher parts of Makkah called Al-Kada'a. And that he should not move from there until he is told. And the Prophet ﷺ came with the main army. In front of him was Qais ibn Sa'd bin Ubadah with the rest of the Ansar. And Abu Ubaidah ibn al-Jarrah was with the foot soldiers. They were walking, while the Prophet ﷺ with the Ansar were the cavalry on their horses and camels. And the Prophet ﷺ, he said to all these commanders, he says, لا تقاتلوا إلا من قاتلكم. Do not fight except those who are going to fight you. And he told them, do not kill a child or a woman, and do not kill someone who's wounded already, is on the floor. You do not finish him off, as we say. And you should not supposed to follow anyone who's running away. You're not supposed to follow anyone who's running away. And then the Prophet ﷺ gave a list of the top 10 criminals, most wanted. That these 10 people, they have no safety. These 10 people, wherever you find them, you can kill them. Okay? Number 1, Ikrimah ibn Abi Jahl. Ikrimah, the son of Abu Jahl, who we know was one of the biggest enemies of the Muslims. Number 2, Abdullah ibn Sa'd ibn Abi Sarh. Abdullah ibn Sa'd ibn Abi Sarh. And he had become a Muslim. He went to Medina, and he used to be one of those people who knows how to write. So he used to write Wahy, the Quran. And then Shaitan played with him, and he left Islam and went back to Makkah. Abdullah ibn Sa'd ibn Abi Sarh. Number 3, Miqyas ibn Subaba. Miqyas ibn Subaba, his brother had been killed mistakenly in the battle of Mustaliq with one of the men of the Ansar. And he was given the diya, the blood money for his brother. But then he went again and killed the man. And he was not supposed to kill the man who killed his brother mistakenly. And then he left Islam and went to Makkah. Miqyas ibn Subaba. Number 4, Abdullah ibn Khatal. Abdullah ibn Khatal. He was a Muslim, and the Prophet ﷺ, he sent him with one of the Ansar to collect sadaqah. He ended up killing both of the Ansari and the servant they had, just because he didn't make food for them. And he left Islam and went to Makkah. And he used to attack and disparage and speak bad about the Prophet ﷺ in poetry. Number 5, Al-Huwayrith ibn Nuqayth. Al-Huwayrith, he used to be one of the staunch enemies of Islam in Makkah. Number 6, Habbar ibn al-Aswad. Habbar ibn al-Aswad. And he is the man, if you remember, when Zainab, the daughter of the Prophet ﷺ, was migrating and she was pregnant. We told her story. He is the one who pushed her on her stomach with a spear, and she lost her baby. She fell down from the camel. This is Habbar ibn al-Aswad. Number 7, Hind bint Utbah, the wife of Abu Sufyan, the woman we just talked about. Because as we know, in the famous story, she's the one who ordered Hamza to be killed and for him to be mutilated. For him to be mutilated. And we mentioned then the story of her eating the liver of Hamza. Go back to the videos. Number 8, Seerah, who is, by the way, a servant of Bani Abdul Muttalib. She is that woman who was carrying the message from Hatib. The woman who was carrying the message from Hatib bin Abi Balta'a, the woman whom Ali and Zubair were sent to. She was also ordered to be killed. Number 9, there was 2 singers, 2 girls who used to sing, and they used to sing against the Prophet ﷺ, cursing him and abusing him. Now it's number 9 and 10. Number 11, Ka'b ibn Zuhair. Ka'b ibn Zuhair is a famous poet. Is a famous poet. And number 12, Wahshi ibn Harb. Wahshi, the one who killed Hamza. The one who killed Hamza. These are 12 people who the Muslims were told, wherever they are, even if they are hanging by the Kaaba, they deserve to die. Everybody else, you should not fight them unless they fight you. Unless they fight you. So the Muslims, while they were moving in, the Quraysh, they wanted to put up one last stand. So they went to the Awbash. We talked about the Awbash before. The Awbash are the Arab Bedouins outside of Makkah who will do anything for the Quraysh. They went and gathered a small army of them, and they went to the lower part of Makkah where Khalid was sent. Where Khalid was sent. Taib. Now before they reached there though, the Prophet ﷺ, when he heard of this, he said to Abu Hurairah, call for me the Ansar, and only the Ansar should come. When they came, he sent them out to fight those Awbash. To fight those Awbash. The Prophet ﷺ, he entered Makkah, and none of the groups had any fighting except the part of Khalid bin Walid radiallahu anhu, where Safwan ibn Umayyah, Ikrimah bin Abi Jahl, and Suhail bin Amr, they gathered the Awbash to go and fight. And there was a lot of fighting, and a few Muslims were killed. But then those people, they ran. They were defeated and they ran. And Safwan bin Umayyah, he ran. Ikrimah bin Abi Jahl ran. And Suhail bin Amr. And these 3 people are going to come back to them. We're going to come back about them. Taib. When Abu Sufyan saw that, he came to that place and said, listen, I told you not to fight. Anyone who goes to my house is safe. Anyone who closes his door is safe. Anyone who puts down his weapons is safe. Khalid radiallahu anhu, he had 2 soldiers who sadly, they left the army. Somehow they got lost and they ended up being killed. May Allah be pleased with them. There is Qurz ibn Jabir al-Fihri and Hubaysh ibn al-Ash'ar al-Khuza'i radiallahu anhu. And Hubaysh ibn al-Ash'ar, he is the brother of Ma'bad. If you remember Ma'bad, the woman who hosted the Prophet ﷺ when they were doing the hijrah, the Prophet ﷺ and Abu Bakr, Ma'bad, and she had the goat who had nothing, and then the goat turned to be the best goat with all the milk, and she gave the famous description of the Prophet ﷺ. This is her brother. This is her brother. Abu Sufyan ran to the Prophet ﷺ and said, Ya Rasulullah, today Quraysh will be destroyed. Look what is happening. Look what Khalid and his people did. And the Prophet ﷺ said, no. Tell your people, whoever enters your house is safe. Whoever closes his door, he is safe. And whoever leaves his weapons, he is safe. The Prophet ﷺ, he asked Khalid, I told you not to fight. And he said, Ya Rasulullah, they started fighting. They attacked us. They attacked us. So he said to them, put down all your weapons. And specifically, Khuza'a. Khuza'a, remember this is why Fath Makkah is happening. Khuza'a were attacked by Banu Bakr and the Quraysh. So they were also out for revenge. So he told them, Ya Khuza'a, put down your weapons. Taib. The Prophet ﷺ, he told the Muslims, our camp will be at Khayf, which is in Shi'b Abi Talib. Why this place? Because this was the same place when the Quraysh came together and decided we're not going to sell food to the Muslims, we're not going to marry from the Muslims, we're not going to do anything with the Muslims. If you remember, in Makkah. That is when the Muslims went hungry for almost a year and a half, and they used to eat grass and leaves. So Allah commanded His Prophet that this fath is going to happen, and that is where He is going to camp and start a new life. Okay? He said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, manziluna insha'Allah idha fataha Allahu al-khayf haythu taqasamu ala al-kufr. Our place where we'll camp is at Khayf, insha'Allah, after Allah opens Makkah for us, where they had gathered upon kufr. Tayyib. Next one, the next point. Usama bin Zayd, he said, Ya Rasulullah, don't you have any other house we can stay in Makkah? What happened to your house? The house which you used to live in. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, وَهَلْ تَرَكَ لَنَا عَقِيلٌ مِّن بَيْتٍ? Did Aqil leave anything for us? Aqil is the older brother of Ali ibn Abi Talib. Aqil is under Ja'far, if I'm not wrong. It's Ja'far, and then Aqil, and then Talib, and then Ali, if I'm not wrong. These are 4 brothers. Okay, Aqil was not a Muslim yet. He'll become Muslim after Fath Makkah. When the Prophet ﷺ, obviously Ali was under the Prophet ﷺ as his child, and Ja'far became Muslim, went to Habash. When the Prophet ﷺ, he did hijrah to Medina, he left his house, Aqil came and Talib, and they took everything. And they sold the house. Talib is going to die not as a Muslim, but Aqil is going to become a Muslim. So the Prophet ﷺ, he said that. And the first person, by the way, who reached Khayf to set out camp was Az-Zubair bin Awam, who put up the tent for the Prophet ﷺ. He entered Makkah ﷺ with his huge battalion, like we said, very scary warriors. All you can see is the weapons. In the morning of Friday, on the 19th or 20th of Ramadan, this is when they entered Makkah, and he was riding on his donkey, on his camel al-Qaswa, and Usama bin Zayd was riding with him. And this shows you how special Usama was. Usama bin Zayd was riding with him, and he was wearing a helmet, the Prophet ﷺ, the war helmet. But he had his head lowered down, humbling himself to Allah, to the point that his beard touched the animal. He put his head down, because this is a moment where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has honored him. It's a moment when Allah has honored him. And he was reading Surah Al-Fath in a very beautiful voice, repeating it. When it was just about 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, the Prophet ﷺ went to the house of Hani bint Abdul Muttalib, who was an aunt of the Prophet ﷺ. Hani is an aunt of the Prophet ﷺ. And he took a bath there, and he prayed 8 rak'ahs, giving salam after 2 rak'ahs. Okay? Around 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. And this prayer, Al-Imam Ibn Al-Qayyim, he says, وَكَانَتْ هَذِي الصَّلَاةِ صَلَاةُ الْفَتْحِ. This is known as the prayer of conquering, or the prayer of victory. And every leader after this who conquered any place, they would pray this prayer. 8 rak'ahs, salam after every 2. Every leader of the Muslims after this, they would pray this prayer, thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This was reported when Sa'ad ibn Abi Waqqas opened Persia also. After that, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he went out to the Kaaba now, to the Masjid, from the house of Hani. And the Muhajirun and the Ansar, They made 2 rows, and he was walking in the middle, or he was riding in the middle. And they were saying the takbir, Allahu Akbar and La ilaha illallah, until he reached the Hajar al-Aswad, and he touched with his stick, the stick which he was holding, the Prophet ﷺ. Then he made tawaf while riding on his animal 7 times around the Kaaba, while there were, as we said before, 360 idols hanging on the Kaaba. And every time he would pass by one of them, he would poke at it with his stick, and it would fall down and crush, and he would say the verses, وَقُلْ جَاءَ الْحَقُّ وَزَهَقَ الْبَاطِلُ, and say the truth has come and falsehood has been demolished. And the other verse which says, وَقُلْ جَاءَ الْحَقُّ وَمَا يُبْدِئُ الْبَاطِلُ وَمَا يُعِيدُ, say the truth has come and falsehood cannot come up again, until he destroyed all of the 360 idols. And then he sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he called for Uthman ibn Talha. Remember Uthman ibn Talha, who had just become Muslim together with Khalid and Amr ibn al-As. Uthman bin Talha, who left with Khalid to become Muslim. He called for him and said, bring me the keys to the Kaaba. So Uthman went to his mother, who was the one who was keeping the keys, but she refused because she was not a Muslim. He said, I'll never give him the keys. And he continued talking to her until she accepted. He came, he opened the doors, and the Prophet ﷺ did not enter though. He said to Umar, go inside and destroy every idol and destroy every picture which they have made. They had drawings, pictures inside the Kaaba. And so Umar, he entered and he did that. After he had finished, that's when the Prophet ﷺ, he entered. And he found there a picture of Ibrahim and Ismail, which the Quraysh had drawn, and that they were holding the azlam. The azlam, we mentioned them, is the arrows they used to, they call it divination arrows, divine arrows. The Quraysh had 3 arrows, everyone had 3 arrows. One says yes, one says no, one is neutral. They would randomly pick them. I want to open a business tomorrow, selling better coffee than Tim Hortons. It's not good for their marketing, but before they would do that, the Quraysh, they would pick one of those arrows randomly. If he says yes, it means open that business because you have better coffee from Kenya. Okay? That's what the arrow is saying to him. If the arrow says no, it means don't open that business. If it's neutral, it means try again. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala removed that. Al-Azlam. Allah brought what? Salatul Istikhara and Tawakkul. So they drew a picture where this is Ibrahim, this is Ismail, and they're holding those Azlam. And the Prophet ﷺ, he destroyed that picture. He said, قَاتَلَهُمُ May Allah destroy them. Wallahi mastaqsama bil azlami qat. These are prophets of Allah. They'll never do that kind of shirk ever. And they also had a picture of Maryam. And he destroyed it also. Taib. And that is when the Prophet ﷺ, he prayed. He prayed in the Kaaba. He ordered the door to be closed. And the only people who remained inside were Usama bin Zayd, which again shows you how special he was, Bilal, radiallahu anhu, and Uthman ibn Talha. And he stood and prayed, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. He had 1 pillar. Back then, the Kaaba had 6 pillars, or 6 pillars. Okay? He had 3 pillars behind him, 1 pillar on the right, 1 pillar on the left, and that's when he prayed inside the Kaaba. And then he came out and he stood by the door. He stood by the door of the Kaaba. And everyone was silent. Because they didn't know what is going to happen now. This is how many years after he became Muslim? Anybody? After he became a prophet, Afwan. It's 21 years. Plus 8. This is 21 years, imagine. After all of this had happened, he is finally in Makkah and Makkah is under him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So he stood by the door and everyone kept quiet. And he said, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. La ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika la. Sadaqa wa'da. There's no true God who deserves to be worshipped except Him. He has no partners. Sadaqa wa'dahu wa nasara abdahu wa hazama al-ahzab wahda. He has aided His servant and He has helped His religion and He has kept His promise, Allah, and He has destroyed the ahzab. ألا وإن كل مأثرة كانت في الجاهلية تذكر وتدعى من دم أو مال تحت قدمي. Every blood and revenge and business ties which people were going after another in Jahiliyyah before Islam, it is today ended. There's no more of that. ألا ما كان في من سقاية الحج وسدانة البيت إلا ما كان من سدانة البيت وسقاية الحج, except those who are going to give their wealth or purchase or go after their wealth in terms of taking care of the people of Hajj or looking after the Kaaba, the Haram. And everyone or anyone who is killed, shibhul amd, which looks like it was intentional killing, with a stick, then there has to be blood money of 100 camels. 40 of them have to be pregnant. 40 of them have to be pregnant. This is the diya. This is the penalty which is very severe for killing someone. And then he said, Ya ayyuhan nas, O people, Inna Allah qad adhaba ankum abiyyat al-jahiliyyah. Allah has removed for you the arrogance of jahiliyyah. وَتَعَاظَمُهَا بِآبَائِهَا, and being boastful of your forefathers. النَّاسُ رَجُلَانِ, there's only two types of humans. بَرٌّ تَقِيٌّ كَرِيمٌ عَلَى اللَّهِ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ. Someone who's pious, fearful of Allah, and Allah honors him. وَفَاجِرٌ شَقِيٌّ هَيِّنٌ عَلَى اللَّهِ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ. And someone who's evil, wretched, he has nothing in front of Allah. وَالنَّاسُ كُلُّهُمْ بَنُو آدَمْ. Everyone is from Adam. وَخُلِقَ آدَمُ مِن تُرَابٍ. And Adam was created from dust. Then he recited the verse, يَا أَيُّهَا النَّاسُ إِنَّا خَلَقْنَاكُمْ مِنْ ذَكَرٍ وَأُنْثَى وَجَعَلْنَاكُمْ شُعُوبًا وَقَبَائِلَ لِتَعَارَفُوا إِنَّ أَكْرَمَكُمْ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ أَتْقَاكُمْ إِنَّ اللَّهَ خَبِيرٌ إِنَّ اللَّهَ عَلِيمٌ خَبِيرٌ. O people, indeed Allah has created you from one male and one female, Adam and Eve. And then He made from them a lot of tribes and different groups and lineages. But the best of, so that you can know each other. But the most noble of you in front of Allah is the one who is the most taqwa. And Allah is the one who is the most aware, the most knowledgeable of what you do. لَيَنْتَهِيَنَّ أَقْوَامٌ فَخْرُهُمْ بِإِرْجَالٍ. He said, the Prophet ﷺ, that some people, they need to stop bragging about other men, meaning their forefathers. أو ليكونن أهون عند الله من عدتهم من الجعلان التي تدفع بأنفها النتن. Or there'll be less than the small insect or parasite which goes into an animal's nose. He said, أيها الناس, O people, إنه ما كان من حلف في الجاهلية فإن الإسلام لم يزده إلا شدة. Whatever peace agreement you had in Jahiliyyah before Islam, Islam only strengthens it. ولا حلف في الإسلام. من أسلم من أهل الكتابين, whoever becomes Muslim from the Jews or the Christians, فله أجره مرتين, he'll get double the reward. وله مثل الذي لنا وعليه مثل الذي وعليه مثل الذي علينا. He belongs to us. What we are indebted for, he is indebted for. What we get, he gets. وَمَنْ أَسْلَمَ مِنَ الْمُشْرِكِينَ فَلَهُ أَجْرُهُ. Whoever becomes Muslim from the mushrikun, he has his reward. And he has what is for us, and what is against us is against him. Then he said, Ya معشر قريش, O Quraysh, ماذا ترون أني فاعل بكم? What do you think I'm going to do to you today? What do you think I'm going to do to you today? قالوا, they said, خيرا أخ كريم ابن أخ كريم. You're only going to do good. You are a beautiful brother, good brother, the son of a good brother. فقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, so the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم, he said, أقول لكم كما قال يوسف لإخوته. I only say to you like what Yusuf said to his brothers. لا تثريب عليكم اليوم. There's no revenge for me on you today. اذهبوا فأنتم الطلقاء. Go, you are free people. Go, you are free people, and he forgave all of them. And many of them entered into Islam that moment. And then the Prophet ﷺ, he sat in the Masjid, in the Haram, and he had the keys with him, the keys of the Kaaba. And Ali ibn Abi Talib stood up and said, Ya Rasulullah, you should declare that we now, Banu Hashim, we will be in charge of feeding the Hujjaj. We talked about this. They used to feed and take care of the people who come to do Hajj. And also now we should be in charge of the Kaaba also. Because now we are Muslims and we are the ones who are in charge here basically. But the Prophet ﷺ, he said, Aina Uthman ibn Talha? Where's Uthman? Uthman ibn Talha. He was called and he gave him the keys back. And he said, هذا مفتاحك يا Uthman. This is your key. اليوم يوم بر ووفاء. This day is a day of giving back and showing full loyalty. And this is when he also said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, take it, O son of Abu Talha, or Talha, talidatan khalidatan. It shall stay with you forever. لا ينزعها منكم إلا ظالم. No one is going to take this duty and responsibility from you except someone who's an oppressor. And that is when Allah revealed the verse in Surah An-Nisa 58. إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَأْمُرُكُمْ أَن تُؤَدُّوا الْأَمَانَاتِ إِلَى أَهْلِهَا. Indeed, Allah commands you that you give back the trusts to those who they belong to. It was revealed because of what? Giving the keys back to Uthman ibn Talha. وَإِذَا حَكَمْتُمْ بَيْنَ النَّاسِ أَن تَحْكُمُوا بِالْعَدْلِ. And Allah commands you, when you judge between people, you should judge with full justice. إِنَّ اللَّهَ نِعِمَّ يَعِظُكُمْ بِهِ. How great is this which Allah is telling you what to do. إِنَّ اللَّهَ كَانَ سَمِيعًا بَصِيرًا. Indeed, Allah is ever hearing of everything, ever seeing of everything. And those keys and that duty of the Kaaba and cleaning the Kaaba and taking care of the Kaaba is with the same people, the children of Uthman until today. Uthman ibn Talha, Banu Shayba. Until today. And only a zalim, an oppressor, a wicked person, ruler will take that away from them. Now after this happened, there's a few amazing things which continue to happen. This is one of the greatest days. Abu Sufyan, while he was watching this, and he saw the Prophet ﷺ talking to people, he's walking around, he said, this might be a good time just to kill him. Because who will think that I'm going to do that? And while he was thinking of that, the Prophet ﷺ, he says, Abu Sufyan, he narrates the story. I had someone strike me on my back. And I looked towards the Prophet ﷺ, and he said to me, Abu Sufyan, what are you thinking about? What are you thinking about? And the Prophet ﷺ said, if you are to do that, Allah will always humiliate you. He said, that is the moment I had full yaqeen that, okay, he's really a prophet. Because this is only wahi from Allah. And that is when Salatul Dhuhr came, and the Prophet ﷺ ordered Bilal to give the first adhan in Makkah. That was the first adhan ever to be given in Makkah. And he climbed on top of the Kaaba. Bilal radiallahu anhu, and he gave the adhan. And while he was doing this, Abu Sufyan was sitting with Attab ibn Usayd and Al-Harith ibn Hisham. And Attab, who was not a Muslim yet, he said, Allah has honored my father that he did not witness this day. That he did not witness this day. Al-Harith, he said, if only your father knew the truth, he would have followed him. He would have followed him. Abu Sufyan said, Wallah, I'm not going to say anything because I might say something and then the Prophet ﷺ will come and tell me, you said this. And little did we stay, except a few moments when the Prophet ﷺ he said to Attab, I know what you have said. I know what you have said. And he mentioned that. And Attab, he became a Muslim right there. He said, you can only be a true prophet. Attab ibn Usayd, he became a Muslim right then. And on this day, one of the things which is mentioned before we move ahead is that the Prophet ﷺ, he prayed Dhuhr, obviously, the first Salah for Islam, in Makkah. In Jama'ah, meaning. They used to pray before they left. He prayed Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib, Isha, all in one wudu. Meaning he didn't go to the washroom or break his wudu. Usually before that, and the Sahaba, they found it strange because usually his custom, he'd make wudu for every salah. So they asked him, Ya Rasulullah, today you did something you never did before. And he said, I did that intentionally to show Muslims that it's okay, you don't have to make wudu for every salah if you didn't break your wudu. And you know the things which break the wudu. If you didn't break your wudu, then you can pray in the same wudu. When the Prophet ﷺ was sitting in the haram, Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, he came with his father, Abu Quhafa, who was an old man, and his beard was all white, his hair was all white. When the Prophet ﷺ saw him, he said, Halla tarakta shaykh, why didn't you leave the old man? Fi bayti hatta kuna ana atihi. You should have left him at home so I could come to him. This is the respect the Prophet ﷺ had. Because who's Abu Quhafa? And who's that? You have a father-in-law. Abu Bakr is the father-in-law of the Prophet ﷺ, right? Because he married Aisha. This is his grandfather-in-law, if something like that exists. If he doesn't, we just made it up today. This is his grandfather-in-law. He came, and the Prophet ﷺ, Abu Bakr, he said, Ya Rasulullah, he is more rightful to come to you. He sat down. The Prophet ﷺ, he touched his chest, made dua for him and said, Aslim, taslim. Become a Muslim. And the old man, he became a Muslim. He became a Muslim. And Abu Bakr, he cried a lot. And the Prophet ﷺ said, why do you cry? He said, I wish Allah granted your uncle Abu Talib Islam, not my father. This is how much they loved him more than their own fathers. And that is when the Prophet ﷺ said to Abu Bakr, غَيِّرْ هَذَا الشَّيْبِ, change this white beard and white hair the Shaykh has. But stay away from black dye. Old people, problems. Young people, you don't understand. Women and men. You have a grey beard, grey hair. If you call it white, it's fine also. You can dye it, it's allowed. But you have to stay away from black. Black is haram. Yes, you can look young, but not black. Try that very dark brown. They can't notice it's not black sometimes, if that's the point. Also, As-Sa'ib ibn Abi Sa'ib became Muslim at this time. And As-Sa'ib used to be a partner of the Prophet ﷺ before Islam. And also, Fudala ibn Umayr. Fudala ibn Umayr. And he's also one of those people, when the Prophet ﷺ was making tawaf, he said, you know, I can kill him right now. And the Prophet ﷺ, he said to him, what were you saying to your own self? He said, nothing. He said, no. You said you could kill me, right? And he became Muslim right away. The Prophet ﷺ laughed. He said, Astaghfirullah ya Rasulullah. Ask Allah to forgive me. He said, Allah has forgiven you. Allah has forgiven you. Now we go back to those most wanted criminals. The list of, how many were they? 12. So we go one by one now. This is the conquest of Makkah. This is what happened. This is what happened. Number one, Ikrimah ibn Abi Jahl. Ikrimah, the son of Abu Jahl. When they were defeated by Khalid's army, Ikrimah, he ran. In fact, he didn't just run. He took off, left Makkah. He said, I'm going to cross the ocean and go to Habasha. He reached Jeddah, which is the main port. He climbed on the ship. When they were crossing the sea became rough. And as was their custom, the disbelieving Arabs, when the sea would become rough, what would they do? They say, Ya Allah, Ya Rab, help us. They'll forget all the idols. This is mentioned in the Quran several times. They used to do that. فَإِذَا رَكِبُوا فِي الْفُلْكِ دَعَوُوا اللَّهَ مُخْلِصِينَ لَهُ الدِّينَ. When they were in the sea, they know that the idols, Lat, Uzza, Manat, they can't help us here. It's only Allah who can help here. So when this happened, Ikrimah says, I said to myself, if He is the true God in the ocean, in the sea, then He has to be the true God in the land also. What am I running from? What am I running from? So he decided, he said, Ya Allah, if you save me today, I'm going to go back, ask for forgiveness and become a Muslim. And that is what he did. And that is what he did. He came back to Makkah, Ikrimah ibn Abi Jahl. Now we say, radiallahu anhu, he had his head down, shy. He said, Ya Rasulullah, ask Allah to forgive me all the enmity I showed to Islam. And all the efforts I put for shirk. And the Prophet ﷺ said, may Allah forgive you. And he became a Muslim, Ikrimah ibn Abi Jahl, radiallahu anhu. And he became a great Muslim, as we're going to see after. Number two, Abdullah ibn Sa'd ibn Abi Sarh, who said he used to be with the Prophet ﷺ, and then he apostatized. He used to write wahy. When the Prophet ﷺ took over Makkah, he ran to the house of Uthman ibn Affan because they were brothers by breastfeeding. He ran to Uthman ibn Affan and he said, Ya Uthman, say to the Prophet ﷺ, or seek protection for me. Seek protection from me. When he brought him, the Prophet ﷺ turned his face from him. Imagine, he was such a Muslim, he used to write wahy, he was trusted to write the Quran, and then he left Islam. He came another time, the Prophet ﷺ turned away from him. Third time, he turned away from him. After that, the Prophet ﷺ, he accepted his Islam. Said, okay, you can become Muslim. When he left, the Prophet ﷺ, he said to his Sahaba, why wasn't one of you so aware just to kill the man? This man deserved to die, I told you. But none of you said anything. They said, Ya Rasulullah, you should have just, winked at us. And he said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, إِنَّهُ لَا يَنْبَغِي لِنَبِيٍّ أَن تَكُونَ لَهُ خَائِنَةُ الْأَعْيُنِ. It is not appropriate for a prophet to deceive someone by the wink of an eye. This tells us, guys, character, real nobility. Even though he's an enemy, you can't deceive him and go up, smile at him, and then wink and say, kill him. No. So, where are we from these kind of manners? Like proper, upright manners is not because of people, it's because this is right, this is wrong. I don't do this. Whether you like it, you don't like it, this is wrong, I don't do that. That was the Prophet ﷺ. And Abdullah ibn Abi Sarh became a Muslim. And he became a very good Muslim. And he is the one in charge of the army which brought Islam first to North Africa, by the way. Moroccans, Libyans, Tunisians. If you're here, Tunisians, say Abdullah ibn Abi Sarh radiallahu anhu. But this is the qadr of Allah. He was supposed to be killed. Look, but Allah had other plans. Radiallahu anhu. And Abdullah ibn Abi Sarh, how did he die? He said, this is the hadith of Yazid ibn Abi Habib, he said, one day Abdullah ibn Sa'ad ibn Abi Sarh, he went out to the place called Ramla. And in the morning, he made dua, he said, Allahumma, ij'al akhir amali subh. Make that I die right after I pray Fajr. It's just a dua he made. He made wudu that day. He prayed Fajr. He said, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, right side. He could not say the salam on the left side, he died. That is Abdullah ibn Abi Sarh radiyallahu anhu. Number 3, Miqyas ibn Subaba. Miqyas ibn Subaba, they found him in the marketplace of Makkah and they killed him. Number 4, Abdullah ibn Khatal. Abdullah ibn Khatal was killed and he was running and he held on to the cloth on the Kaaba and they killed him there. Abu Barz al-Aslami killed him there. And remember, these are criminals who deserve to die. And Imam al-Nawawi, he says, or Imam al-Baghawi, afwan, he says this is proof that if it's a criminal who deserves to die, it doesn't matter even if he goes in the haram. It doesn't matter even if he goes in the haram, because Islamically it has been judged that he deserves to die. Number 5, Al-Huwairith ibn Nuqayd. Ali ibn Abi Talib caught up with him and killed him also. Number 6, Habbar ibn al-Aswad. Habbar, when the Muslims conquered Makkah, he ran. And later on, he'll come back to the Prophet ﷺ in Medina and become a Muslim. Habbar ibn al-Aswad radiyallahu anhu. And remember who Habbar is, by the way. This shows you the mercy of the Prophet ﷺ. The man who poked Zainab, who was a pregnant woman and she miscarried. Number 7, Hind bint Utbah, the wife of Abu Sufyan, her story is coming. We'll delay that. Number 8, Sarah Mawla bani Abdul Muttalib, the woman who was carrying the message of Hatib bin Abi Balta'a. As for her, she hid and nobody knows what happened to her. Did she become Muslim? Not. She was killed. Nobody knows what happened to her. Number 9 and 10 are those 2 singers who used to sing and abuse and curse the Prophet ﷺ. One of them ran away. One of them was killed. Later on, after years, the one who ran away came back and became Muslim. As for Wahshi ibn Harb and Ka'b ibn Zuhair, the poet, of course, we know they're going to become Muslim. Later on, we'll mention the story after. When this was happening, the Ansar of Medina, they came together and they said, "Oh people, Amma ar-rajulu," you see the man, meaning the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, فَأَدْرَكَتْهُ رَغْبَةٌ فِي قَرْيَتِهِ. He has grown back the love of his place. This is where he's coming from. This is home, Makkah. وَرَأْفَةٌ بِعَشِيرَتِهِ. And he is lenient to his own people. Do you think that is always going to come back with us again? So Allah brought wahi to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he called them. He said, "Ya ma'ashar al-ansar." قلتم, you said, أما الرجل فأدركته رغبة في قريته. You said that man, he has gotten his love back for his land. They said, "Yes, Rasulullah." He said, "Kalla, never. Inni Abdullahi wa Rasuli. I am the servant of Allah and His Messenger. Hajartu ilallahi wa ilaykum. I migrated to Allah and to you. Wal mahya mahyakum wal mamatu mamatukum. And my life is with your life and my death is with you." So they started crying. Abu Huraira says, until all of them, their beards were full of tears. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, they said, "Ya Rasulullah, we didn't say that in a bad way." He said, "Allah and His Messenger ﷺ have forgiven you." This is the story of the Ansar. radiallahu anhum. Then the Prophet ﷺ, he went to the small hill or mountain of Safa. We know the Safa and Marwa. And there, the people came and pledged allegiance, bay'ah for Islam at Safa. And Umar ibn Khattab was the one who was standing. The Prophet ﷺ was sitting, Umar was standing under him. So all the men came, and the old and the women and the children, they all came and pledged allegiance to Islam and to listen and to obey to the Prophet ﷺ as their leader. Until one of the people came, Mujashi' ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu, he said, Ya Rasulullah, I give you the pledge of allegiance of Islam and Hijrah. And the Prophet ﷺ said, no, there's no more Hijrah. Meaning there's no more Hijrah from Makkah to Medina. That's why he said, La Hijrah ba'd al-Fath. After today there's no more Hijrah. And we said that was the distinction. There is general Hijrah. The general Hijrah of what? A Muslim leaving a land or a place where you cannot practice Islam properly, going to a land or a place where you can practice Islam properly. That Hijrah does not stop until the Day of Judgment. But the Hijrah from Makkah, there's no Hijrah from Makkah anymore. And then the women, the Prophet ﷺ said there's no Hijrah after today because people used to migrate because they feared for their deen. But now they're safe. But now they are safe. And then the women came to give their allegiance. So the group of women, crowds and crowds of women came together. And one of them was Hind bint Utbah. But she covered her face, nobody could know who she was. Remember, there's, what do you call it? There's a bounty on her head, exactly, yes. There's a bounty on her head, that's the word I was looking for. Like she's supposed to be dead by now. Dead man walking, dead woman walking, literally. Right? She covered herself. And she was part of that group of women. So the Prophet ﷺ, he said, come close to me. They all came close. He said, تُبَايِعُونَنِي عَلَى أَلَّا تُشْرِكْنَ بِاللَّهِ شَيْئًا. You're going to give me the pledge of allegiance that you will not commit any shirk. And they accept. And then Hind said, now nobody knows who's speaking, right? She's wearing niqab. She said, Wallahi, إِنَّكَ لَتَأْخُذْ عَلَيْنَا أَمْرًا مَا تَأْخُذْهُ عَلَى الرِّجَالِ وَسَنُؤْتِيكَهُ. You didn't say this to the man, you're saying it to us. But we'll give it to you. Because the man just came and they said, we pledge allegiance to our Muslims, we're here and obey you as a leader. No. The man, they used to shake his hand, not the women. This is going to come. And then the Prophet ﷺ said, وَلَا تَسْرِقْنَا, that you're not going to steal. Hind said, وَاللَّهِ إِن كُنْتُ لَأُصِيبُ مِمَا لَبِ سُفْيَانَ الْهَنَا وَالْهَنَا وَمَا أَدْرِي أَكَانَ ذَلِكَ حِلًّا أَمْ حَلَالًا. She said this to herself though. I used to take Abu Sufyan's wealth, her husband's money. I don't know if it's halal or haram, but some people had her. And Abu Sufyan was there. He said, whatever you took before this day, I've forgiven you. And then the Prophet ﷺ said, وَإِنَّكَ لَهِنْدٌ بِنْتُ عُتْبَةٍ. You sound like you're Hind. Sounds like you. And she says, نعم. فَعْفُ عَمَّا سَلَفَ عَفَى اللَّهُ عَنْكَ. Yes, it is me. So forgive me for what has passed. May Allah forgive you. And the Prophet ﷺ, he continued on. He said to the women, وَلَا تَزْنِينَ, that you're not going to commit zina. And Hind, she said, Ya Rasulullah, وَهَلْ تَزْنِي الْحُرَّةِ. A noble, free woman, can she ever commit zina? And now imagine every other woman is not speaking except her. This shows you her personality. And then the Prophet ﷺ said, وَلَا تَقْتُلْنَ أَوْلَادَكُنَّ. You are not going to kill your own babies like they used to do before Islam. She said, قَدْ رَبَّيْنَاهُمْ صِغَارًا. We took care of them when they were young. وَقَتَلْتَهُمْ يَوْمَ بَدْرٍ كِبَارًا. And you killed them when they grew up on the day of Badr, in the battle of Badr. فأنت وهم أعلم. So you know better about our children. فضحك عمر بن الخطاب. Umar, he laughed. Umar just laughed from what she said, and that the Prophet ﷺ just kept quiet. The Prophet ﷺ smiled and he continued on. He said, وَلَا تَأْتِينَ بِبُهْتَانٍ تَفْتَرِينَهُ بَيْنَ أَيْدِيَكُنَّ وَرْجُلِكُنَّ, which means you don't commit zina and ascribe those children of zina to your own husbands. She said, Hind, Wallahi, Wallahi, inna ityan al-buhtan laqabih. That is an evil thing. وَلَا بَعْدُ التَّجَاوُزُ أَمْثَلُ. Some of it might have happened. And you only command us to good things and good manners. فَقَالَ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وسلم. The Prophet ﷺ continued saying, وَلَا تَعْصِينَ فِي الْمَعْرُوفِ, that you will not disobey him in anything which is good. And she said, Hind, قالت Hind, we are not in this place except to obey you in what is good. So they gave the bay'ah, the pledge, to the Prophet ﷺ. And Hind said, Ya Rasulullah, should we come and shake your hand? And he ﷺ said, La, I do not shake the hands of women. Your bay'ah is by your word. Your bay'ah is by your word. And Hind returned home and she saw her idol she used to worship every day. She broke it and said, you just used to deceive us. This is the story of Hind bint Utbah. She did not stay for long when she came back to the Prophet ﷺ. She came back to the Prophet ﷺ. He said, Ya Rasulullah, I want to tell you something. There was no one I hated more than you. But now, and there was no one I wanted more for Allah to humiliate more than you. But now I have to admit you're the most beloved person to me. And the Prophet ﷺ said, same thing with me. She said, Ya Rasulullah, inna Abu Sufyan rajulun shahih. Abu Sufyan, my husband, is stingy. So he doesn't give me what is enough for myself and my children. So I go into his pockets and I take what I need for myself and my children. And the Prophet ﷺ says, خُذِي مَا يَكْفِيكِ وَوَلَدِكَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ. You can take, and you should take what is enough for you and your children. Bil-ma'ruf, in what is enough, like we said. So, sisters, if one of you has a husband who's like that, this is a fatwa I'm giving here today. It's allowed for you. If you know his password, you can get hold of his card. It's easy these days, just tap, by the way. Bil ma'ruf though, you don't go shopping for new couches and a new fridge just for the sake of it. No. What you need, you and your children, and he doesn't give you what is enough for you and your children, it's allowed Islamically to take that without him knowing. It's not stealing. Taib, it's not stealing. And then one of the great leaders of Quraysh, one of the great enemies of Islam, Safwan ibn Umayyah. Remember those who fought, the Awbash who fought against Khalid's group. The leader was Safwan ibn Umayyah, Ikrimah ibn Abi Jahl, who we mentioned, he just came back and became Muslim. Safwan ibn Umayyah, even though he was not in the list of the top criminals, he used to be a top criminal. Taib, he took off. Leaving Makkah. But then his cousin brother, who was Umair ibn Wahb, he came and asked the Prophet ﷺ for him. He said, Ya Rasulullah, Safwan ibn Umayyah is a leader of the Quraysh, and he has left running away from you. So the Prophet ﷺ said to Amr, go and find your cousin, bring him back. And he said, Umair bin Wahb, he said, Ya Rasulullah, how will he trust me? How can he know? The Prophet ﷺ took off his robe, which he was wearing, and he gave it to Umair. Tell him this is a sign. So he went all the way across the desert until he reached Safwan ibn Umayyah, who refused to talk to him, saying, no, I don't want to talk to you. He said, no, the Prophet ﷺ is guaranteeing you safety, come. He said, how can I know that? He said, okay, this is the robe of the Prophet ﷺ. You wear it. And they came back to Makkah, And before he got off his camel, he said, Ya Muhammad, You're such a generous person. You're such a good person. Is it true you're giving me safety? He said, yes, I gave you safety. He said, then okay, give me 2 months to think about, do I want to become Muslim or not? And the Prophet ﷺ, he said, take 4 months. Take 4 months. He didn't take long. He became a Muslim, obviously. Safwan ibn Umayyah radiallahu anhu. And he went and fought with the Prophet ﷺ in Hunayn and Ta'if and others. But when he went and fought, by the way, in Hunayn and in Ta'if, he was still a non-Muslim. Yes, he became Muslim after. Like he was wavering. He was wavering, he became Muslim way after that. And then another man came to accept Islam with the Prophet ﷺ, and he was shaking in fear of the Prophet ﷺ. So the Prophet ﷺ said these great words. He said, Hawwin alayk. Calm down. Calm down. فَإِنِّي لَسْتُ بِمَلِكٍ. I'm not a king that he should fear me like that. إِنَّمَا أَنَا إِبْنُ امْرَأَةٍ كَانَتْ تَأْكُلُ الْقَدِيدَ بِمَكَّةِ. الْقَدِيدِ اللَّحْمَ الْمُجَفَّفِ. I'm just a son of a woman who used to eat dried meat in Makkah. I'm just a human being like you. That is how humble the Prophet ﷺ used to be. The next day, the Prophet ﷺ, he gave another khutbah. And this is after some events happened. This is narrated by Abu Shuraih al-Khuza'i from the tribe of Khuza'a. From the tribe of Khuza'a. What had happened is that now the Muslims had conquered Makkah. And this was because of what? Remember? Banu Khuza'a, they were killed by Banu Bakr. So some of them, they said, this is our opportunity. We should go and revenge. So they actually went out and they saw a man who used to kill a lot of them before. Okay? And this man, he was going to the Prophet ﷺ to become a Muslim, in fact. But they went on him and they killed him. So his people came to the Prophet ﷺ, who became very, very angry. And he called the people at Asr. And he said this speech after praising Allah. أيها الناس, O people. إن الله عز وجل حرم مكة يوم خلق السماوات والأرض. Allah has declared Makkah haram. It is sacred. There's no killing, there's no fighting there. From the day He created the heavens and the earth. فهي حرام من حرام الله تعالى يوم القيامة. It is a sanctified, sacred place of Allah until the day of judgment. لا يحل لامرئ يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر أن يسفك فيها دما. It is not allowed for anyone who believes in Allah on the last day to shed any blood therein. ولا يعضد بها شجرا, or to cut any tree. وَلَمْ تَحْلُلْ لِأَحَدٍ كَانَ قَبْلِي. And no one was given permission to fight in Makkah before me. وَلَا تَحِلُّ لِأَحَدٍ يَكُونُ بَعْدِ. And no one will ever be given permission to fight in Makkah after me. وَلَمْ تَحْلُلْ لِي إِلَّا هَذِهِ السَّاعَةِ. And I was only given a few hours that I could actually fight. غَضَبًا عَلَى أَهْلِهَا. Because Allah was angry on the people of Makkah, what all they had done. أَلَا ثُمَّ قَدْ رَجَعَتْ كَحُرْمَتِهَا بِالْأَمْسِ. You have to know, it has gone back to be sacred like it was yesterday. أَلَا فَلْيُبَلِّغِ الشَّاهِدْ مِنْكُمُ الْغَائِبِ. So let those who are here take this message to those who are not here. فَمَنْ قَالَ لَكُمْ إِنَّ رَسُولَ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وسلم قَدْ قَاتَلَ بِهَا فَقُولُوا إِنَّ اللَّهَ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ قَدْ أَحَلَّهَا لِرَسُولِ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وسلم لَمْ يُحِلَّهَا لَكُمْ. So whoever says and uses the proof, oh, the Prophet ﷺ fought there, tell him that Allah gave him that permission and not you. Meaning Allah has not given you permission to fight there. Ya ma'ashara Khuza'a. And then he addressed Khuza'a. O people of Khuza'a. Irfa'u aydiyakum anil qital. Stop killing. Stop fighting. فَقَدْ كَثُرَ أَنْ يَقَعَ. It has happened a lot. And if you kill anyone after this, I will pay his blood money. I will pay his blood money. فَمَنْ قُتِلَ بَعْدَ مَقَامِ هَذَا فَأَهْلُهُ بِخَيْرِ النَّذُرَيْنِ. So whoever's killed after this, his people will have the choice. Either they seek blood, retribution, or you pay them back. And then the Prophet ﷺ, he paid for that man who they just killed. And then he said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, إِنَّ أَعْدَ النَّاسِ عَلَى اللَّهِ مَنْ قَتَلَ فِي الْحَرَمِ. The one who transgresses most in front of Allah is the one who kills inside the haram. أو قتل غير قاتله, or he kills someone who's innocent. أو قتل بدخول الجاهلية, or he kills because of things in Jahiliyyah before Islam. ذهب أمر الجاهلية, the matters of before Islam, they have gone. And then the Prophet ﷺ, he said, giving some of the laws of fiqh, of retribution and blood money. Whoever breaks someone's finger or cuts it off, then it is 10 camels. And whoever injures someone such that his bone can be seen, meaning takes out his flesh, then it is 5 camels. There's no salah after Asr until the sun has set. And there's no salah after Fajr until the sun has risen. And no woman can be married together with her aunt, paternal or maternal aunt. Okay? And no woman should give out her wealth before she tells or consults with her husband. And then he said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and every peace treaty which was there before Islam, Islam only makes it stronger. And there's no more hijrah from Makkah after today, after Fath. And the hand of the Muslim is together, we are united. Our blood is same. A Muslim is not supposed to be killed because of a kafir. And the blood money of a kafir is half of that of a Muslim. And there's no shighar in Islam. Nikah shighar is when someone goes to someone. What's your name, brother? Abu Bakr. We suppose you have a sister, we suppose I have a sister. I don't have a sister, don't come proposing. Okay? I come to you and say, Abu Bakr, marry me your sister, so I'll marry you my sister. That is not allowed in Islam. It's called nikah shighar. It's not allowed. La shighara fi Islam, wala janab wala jalab. And janab and jalab is when the man who's sent out to collect zakah in Islam, he's supposed to go to everyone personally and collect zakah. He's not supposed to sit somewhere and tell people, come to me. That is how beautiful the rules are of Islam. You go, it's your duty. Tayyib? And then he said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and all of us Muslims were equal. If we give refuge to one person, then he has the refuge of every Muslim. And then the Prophet, after he said this, right after he finished, there's a man who stood up from the people of Yemen. His name is Abu Shahin. He said, Ya Rasulullah, you have said a lot. Write it down for me. And the Prophet ﷺ, he said, Uktub li Abi Shah. Write for Abu Shah. And they wrote this down. And this is one of the strongest evidences to show you that they used to write hadith during the time of the Prophet ﷺ, not just Quran. Okay? After this, the Prophet ﷺ, he stayed in Mecca for 19 days. 19 days. And he used to shorten his prayer because he's a traveler. Yeah, this is Sahih al-Bukhari, by the way. So he said there, teaching people Tawheed, making their Iman firm, teaching them proper Aqidah. And he sent some emissaries to other tribes who became Muslim. And he took care of other affairs, which we are going to mention. This is the conquest of Makkah. Most of what happened. What is left is just a few details of the rest. Other than that, if you have any questions, we can ask after we come back from Maghrib Salah, 6 o'clock, inshaAllah. سبحانك اللهم بحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.